It is exciting when actors of the caliber of Bryan and Elizabeth and Bill come onto a project like this, because I think it lends a credibility to the film.
Her name is Rita Repulsa. She will create Goldar, a huge monster who will rip the crystal from the Earth, and all life on your planet will die.
Rita Repulsa. We had to downplay that name because it's so stark. It's so like, it's like Benny Bad Guy. You know, it's like, oh.
Zeo, Crystal, Power, whatever, Rangers, Alpha 5, and I just nodded along. But I draw the line right there because no way is the bad guy called Rita Repulsa. I mean, come on, guys, this is such bullshit.
In many ways, casting Rita Repulsa was one of the most challenging things we had to do in this film. Primarily because there's 3 incredibly important elements that she must have in order to be complete. She has to be scary, but she also has to be funny.
What's it called?
It's a Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme.
And let's all be honest with ourselves. She also has to be sexy.
I mean, I don't think we could have cast Rita Repulsa more perfectly than with Elizabeth Banks.
The original Rita Repulsa in the show, she was played by a few different actresses, but each of them really brought sort of a very arch sensibility.
Perfect! Time to make the monster grow!
Really broad, really big, a cackle, you know, crazy headdress and, you know, crazy outfits. And we wanted to keep a sense of that. Like, not so much the look of what she looked like, but the sense of someone who is larger than life.
Oh, cute. The Rangers found their costumes in their dino cars. Well, let's give them something else to play with.
I mean, when you have someone like Elizabeth who's so experienced but also so talented, she just cuts to the core of what the character is about, and she synthesizes that.
When I first read the script, actually, it was your classic bad guy, and I think what Elizabeth and Dean both did was took the character and really figured out what is it that makes her different, you know?
What I like about it is, like, she just doesn't care what happens to anybody. I mean, there's a real freedom in playing that.
Let's kill everyone.
You just don't need to care about anyone. You can sort of, you feel like you want to squash those Power Rangers like bugs.
Fun, demonic, fierce. Just, she had a blast doing it because she was empowered.
So you're on set and she's distilled the character to something in a way in which allows her, I think, then to make really bold choices, because there's always a true north to those choices, so you can be bold.
Back there, see, whoop, and then he goes up.
Can you see what I mean?
No, I can't, but I will try. I'm just not gonna look at the ground. I never felt like I had a hard time locking into her until I was fully sort of dressed and articulated.
From the prosthetics, the hair, the makeup, to her fingernails, it just felt so real.
You know, it's the longest I've ever done. I played Effie Trinket, which is really long, but because of these facial prosthetics, and then when I play sort of the urchin version, you know, it's full body prosthetics, so head to toe, I was in, you know, silicone and plastic, and it was intense. It was really intense. Very long hours sitting still in a chair, you know, really not being able to breathe, 6 people working all at once. The pictures are wild, so.
She's oddly beautiful and insane. And I really felt like I was dealing with a complete psychopath. Like when she's looking at me in the eyes and she has me in a chokehold, I'm just like, whoa, this is real.
Stop, you're hurting me. You're really hurting me. Please, please,
chewed it up in a great way.
And honestly, didn't know what we were gonna get. And then, you know, you get on set and you start working and she's making all of these choices and you're seeing this villain that you discussed, that you had an idea of, but didn't quite know how it was gonna come to life. And all of a sudden it's there in all its glory. It was a big learning experience for me working with someone like her.
She makes you wanna be on your A game, if not your A+ game, because her decisions are so, it's like they're on her feet, but they're perfect. You know, and even as an amazing actress, she's still open to director's criticism or notes or this and that, because she knows how to hone it in and make it, you know, her own, to where it's way better than what the direction could have been.
No, you don't know, but I'll tell you a secret. One of you does. Who's the betrayer? Huh?
I think the analogy that I would probably use is in any career, in any stream, wherever you're working, when somebody walks into your workplace who is of a certain caliber, a seasoned veteran of that career, they walk in and they exude a certain presence that forces you to raise your bar, you know, and go, somebody of an incredible caliber of experience and work has just walked onto set, and Elizabeth Banks was the embodiment of that.
And we were so fortunate to get the first person we thought of.
Man, I want to be Elizabeth Banks right now.
Thank you for being so weak.
Zordon would lose all respect for me if I don't kill you.
Zordon? Master?
Where is he?
He must have stepped through the grid.
Alpha, where'd he go?
I don't know where he is.
The exciting thing about Alpha 5 and Zordon and the actors that play them is, once again, we're looking at seasoned veterans of the industry, people that can offer a lot of experience, and I relish the moment when I get to actually meet them and work with them in person.
Almost all the production was already shot before I shot anything. And you're kind of working in a capsule, and when you're in that room by yourself, not having an experience really of what the other actors were doing, but they do. They're collecting all the performances and enhancing some, diminishing others at any given time. It's like a conductor in an orchestra, figuring out what they want at any given time. Yeah, you can feel a little out of place.
I think that it also brings something else to the film, you know? It's like raising the bar again.
But through the conversations with Dean and the questions I was asking and the answers I was getting, you get more comfortable in what your character is providing and the tone of the film, the sensibility of it, the level of humor that's involved, and you get more of a sense of that, and you kind of get close to a groove with your director.
Bryan has an authority about him, a gravity about him, but also a real humanity.
It's because it's you, Jason. You're the one. You're the leader. You are the Red Ranger.
And we had to make sure that Zordon didn't feel just like the Wizard of Oz, just sort of this disembodied face and voice, that you felt like there was a real entity in that character.
You really are reliant upon the director's sensibility.
So I think you're trying to get your bearings with more intensity.
Okay. From an acting standpoint, you just have to focus on what the character is really feeling and wanting and desirous of certain things, and trust that it's being conveyed, as opposed to saying, I'm going to grimace here. It's not that. It's still thinking within the character and just trusting that the proper expression will be revealed.
I don't understand, Alpha 5. The morphing grid is meant to find those who are worthy and strong. How did it find these children?
Sir, I already told you they're called teenagers.
Yes.
When we did the facial capture, you really started reading the lines, again, in very surprising ways. And I remember at the end of that day, shooting a bunch of his stuff, the visual effects supervisor said to me, wow, I really see that we have to step up our game with the visual effects, because Zordon is a real character that they all were sort of blown away by just from the performance on the day. And that was awesome to hear that the visual effects guys now finally had a character to create and not just an effect.
And I think he's just got that essence to him. You know, he's got that steady, very experienced actor essence to him.
I think the most exciting thing about Bryan Cranston playing Zordon is that Bryan Cranston is connected to the series from the past. It's such a great sort of Easter egg for the fans of the series that he got involved.
Elen shonoskesu Zordon.
Menasco, Rita.
Zordon's going to play in prosthetics in the prologue scene, but then he's also going to be wearing prosthetics for all his motion capture stuff when he's seen in the pinwall.
It took, to the full body one took 4 hours to put on. You're just standing there and a couple specialty makeup artists are putting on this whole costume for about 4 hours. If it's just the head, we did one day where it was just my head. That was about 2 hours.
Yeah, Zordon was a particular challenge. Right from the start, we decided that we really needed a strong graphic element in front, and we knew that we were getting an actor that we wanted to allow like full performance, all the subtlety to come through in their expressiveness, and full recognizability.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. Looks freaky, doesn't it? Because everything was so specific, you have to have patience doing it. But again, it's like boys at play. This is what we used to do when I was a kid, you know, whether put on a military uniform or a baseball uniform or something, and you pretend you're something else. And so that's all part of the fun.
Alpha 5, why didn't they morph?
I don't know, sir. It's disturbing. Very disturbing.
Well, I got a call from my agent, and he said they're making a Power Rangers movie. Oh, that's interesting. And since I'm, like 38, I knew I wasn't going to play one of the kids because it wasn't the 80s anymore. You can't get away with that.
And then Bill is hilarious. I mean, he's a hilarious guy to be around, and he brings that to Alpha 5, and he's, incredibly bright and is able to, again, take the lines we have and love on them and embellish them and bring his own sort of nuance to them.
All right, did you find the coins or the coins find you? You know what? It's irrelevant. Turn around. Turn around. I'm not going to do anything. Go.
John Gatins, the writer, would come up with stuff constantly, and Dean would come up with things constantly, in between things, like, oh, try this, try that, try it this way, and it's just kind of feeling it out.
Look! It's Zordon!
What?
Zordon, they don't know who you are.
Like, you have the script and you have ideas there, and then it's going down a road and saying, no, this isn't really right, let's go back to what's written, and then, But he gave, that was what was interesting on this movie with everything going on in it, that he gave me that chance to kind of explore and stuff. It was really cool.
So Alpha 5 is really the comic relief of the whole movie, and so to cast someone who is just truly funny, dry, can play, playful, also very commanding, he's great. He's like working on all kinds of levels.
And I think he makes this little character that design-wise, I think is going to be, a hit. I'm hoping. I just think the design of the character is great, and I think he brings a whole nother level to it.
Action! There must be a way to get me out of this wall.
Yes, but the irony is that we need the Rangers to morph so you can harness their energy so you can come back to life.
There's gotta be another way. I can't. What? You can't what? Wait for us dumb kids to morph so you can come back to life? That's what all this has been about, right? You coming back? This has only ever been about protecting the crystal.
It's a weird thing. It's kind of an amalgam of, like a high school movie, like Breakfast Club, but also a superhero movie, but also kind of like Star Wars, like a space opera type thing. And then also, something like Rudy, or like Hoosiers or something. It has a definite sports movie kind of analogy, like we gotta work like a team.
I'm so excited you guys are back. Aim for the center man. One more time.
I guess I'm kind of like Gene Hackman, Or actually, Zordon's like Gene Hackman in Hoosiers, and I'm like Dennis Hopper, except I don't drink. I'm not drunk.
Zordon, look at the grid! This is your time! Do you see it? The grid is open! Step through!
Yes, I see it. I see it.
And they both have such incredible